Hi guys, I'm Adam Wilbourn from WhatCulture. Very pleased to say now I am joined by the legend that is former world heavyweight champion David Arquette. We're here, of course, to talk about your new movie, You Cannot Kill David Arquette. I've just watched it this evening. It is a real roller coaster of emotions that truly hits home for wrestling fans. How would you describe it? Is it a love letter to the industry? Is it a redemption arc for you? Because it feels like it ticks all of those boxes.
It does. It does tick all of those boxes. It is a love letter to wrestling. It is a redemption story. I think it's a story a lot of people can relate to, just kind of going through the struggles of life, trying to figure out your own self-worth, going on this journey to prove something to yourself, but also learn something about yourself. So I think it has a lot of lessons in there that are pretty universal.
It's a really emotional conclusion to the film, and obviously your name is synonymous with wrestling, but it feels like, yeah, you've not only proved something to the doubters from all those years ago and your time in WCW, but also, more importantly, probably to yourself.
Yeah, I really did learn that it was about not beating myself up anymore, literally or figuratively. I had to really find this sort of self-confidence and self-love that, would understand my behavior, what drove me, where my pain came from and how to sort of address it.
It seems like an obvious question to ask you, but I'm going to put it out there anyway. With people like Peter Avalon and Jungle Boy featuring in it, they're now obviously in All Elite Wrestling. Could it potentially be the case that we could see you there one day? I mean, Cody's been having his open challenge for the TNT Championship. Obviously didn't go very well for him recently with Brody Lee, but, the opportunity is there if you want to take it.
Yeah, I mean, you always want to be accepted and, loved by your peers, if that's what they are to me. But I kind of did this film to prove myself to myself. And then, depending on how this film does, if it does really well, then it'll be easy to get calls from those guys. But, they didn't seem very interested in it to this point.
But it's great to see you and interact with so many legends of the industry. Who were some of your favorite people to work with and to associate yourself with? Obviously, there's the RJ City connection. I know you've talked about working with and managing Colt Cabana, but who were some of your favorites?
Yeah, working with RJ City was really my favorite and least favorite aspect of wrestling. But no, we have a really fun relationship. It's just it's very hard to not want to punch him in the face. But yeah, I enjoy wrestling with him. I loved wrestling with Colt Cabana, and I got to wrestle with the Honky Tonk Man, which was a dream come true. I got a pile driver from Jerry the King Lawler that I've always dreamt of. That was amazing. I really just love all those guys, and just seeing Ric Flair again and Wendy, his wife, who's so tremendous a person. A lot of the time, what you see in a lot of these wrestlers, like Hacksaw Jim Duggan, his wife Debbie is like huge in the whole world. Like these women behind these wrestlers are often the strongest of all.
It's one of those bucket list things, isn't it? To take certain maneuvers from certain people. What was it like as well? I saw you in the movie with Booker T. Obviously, you spent time together. You were both in WCW at the same time. What was that like for you?
Oh man, Booker T is just such a hero of mine. He was back then. One of the big eye-opening moments for me was being in the locker room and not really understanding why people got so mad. And I said, well, Booker, how many times have you been champ? And he said, never. I've never been the champion. And that really hit me hard. I was like, oh, well, now I get it. So the next time I went out and had a mic, I said, I don't deserve to be champion. Booker T deserves to be champion. And that was just sort of planting a seed. And I'm so grateful that all of his hard work paid off and he got a chance to be a true champion.
Is there anyone else on that like bucket list of people you'd still like to work with, or that whether it be managing or whether it be stepping in between the ropes with them?
Jeff Jarrett's one that I would like to wrestle again, just to sort of bring that storyline all back together. I don't know. There's a lot of really wonderful wrestlers out there that I'm huge fans of. I love the Street Profits. I love Bianca Belair. Sasha Banks is an incredible wrestler. Charlotte Flair is an amazing wrestler. There's a lot of really talented people. Dalton Castle is who I'd like to wrestle. He's tremendous.
Yeah, he really is. Just to talk a little bit more about All Elite Wrestling, we mentioned Jungle Boy, Peter Avalon obviously being in there. How do you see them progressing going forward? You were obviously in a company that was competing with WWE. It's very different nowadays, but with Cody and Brandy Rhodes and Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, what do you think of what they're doing in AEW?
I love what they're doing. I think you can tell they're having a lot of fun, but they take the business very seriously. I'd like to see them do, one of my dreams in this whole excursion out into wrestling was to make a bridge between wrestling and Hollywood. And despite the fact that The Rock's one of the biggest stars in Hollywood, I think there's room for a lot of wrestlers to be involved in Hollywood. I'd love to, either with WWE or AEW, form some kind of film production company kind of type of thing, where we could do low budget movies and get all these wrestlers parts in it, so all of them have SAG, so all of them have insurance. Just something like that would be a dream.
Yeah, we've sort of seen an element of it, very different, but I'm not sure if you've caught the cinematic matches of WWE whilst the lockdown and the ongoing global issues that we've been having is going on. Is that sort of something you could see possibly being utilized?
Yeah, for that, but there's also you have a stable of these people who are there to wrestle every week, and only a few of them get the time to the screen time. They might even have a little bit in it, but it's not. So you have all this talent that's sitting places in both companies. So you can easily form just different, a TV show, a series of independent films, whatever it is. You could start providing content for them to perform in, even if it's like what you're saying, just taking certain matches, or you could go back to the history of certain things. You could reenact stuff. I mean, I love what Dark Side of the Ring does. I just think there's opportunities to build, things with the, side goal of getting everybody in unions so they could, have an actors union insurance.
What do you think of, you play reference to it in the film about more people transferring into wrestling? I mean, we've seen names recently, obviously Ronda Rousey in recent years, and Pat McAfee, for example, very recently for NXT. It's a different ball game now, isn't it? It really is, rather than celebrities being brought in and just being treated to being in between the ropes. They have to be part of it now, like you sort of prove yourself to do in the film.
Yeah, if you're going to really get somebody to commit. I mean, Stephen Amell loves it so much. His next show's based in the wrestling world, which I love. So that's great when that happens. I do think it's important to bridge that gap. I think it's I don't like the fact that wrestling's kind of tossed aside or kind of frowned upon as not being, real entertainment or whatever, or a real sport, whatever. I just think it's so difficult. It takes so much work and preparation, and it's really intricate, telling a story without words in front of an audience that involves violence. You have to really there's certain things like, the way Piper was a a heel. The sort of silence in his, like the anger you could see in his face. There's just really subtleties in wrestling that you wouldn't believe. And it just has this group, like why Stone Cold Steve Austin or Ric Flair aren't on a CBS cop show is like just ridiculous to me. I mean, they're both incredible talents. It's so funny. They would like be assets to anyone in Hollywood.
Final question for you, David. You obviously have a very close association with Jungle Boy Jack Perry. It's highlighted in the movie. He's doing sensational things in AEW. Do you think he could become a world champion one day?
Oh, yeah. I think he could become a world champion. He's getting bigger, too. Just saw him recently. I was like, wow, dude. He's like really bigger. He's still getting taller. He's literally still growing, the guy. It's amazing. But I think he's a movie star as well. The kid's just a super talent. He's really incredibly tough. He's never smoked and never drank. He's just got his head on his shoulders. He's not consumed with the ego or crazy about girls or like any kind of stuff that kind of very focused. And he's just a super talent. And I can't wait to see what he does with his life.
Well, David Arquette, it's been an absolute pleasure to chat to you. Thank you so much for taking your time out of your day to chat to WhatCulture. You Cannot Kill David Arquette. It's going to be released on digital and on-demand services this Friday. If you're a true wrestling fan, go and check it out. It's well worth the watch. David Arquette, thank you so much for chatting to us today.
Hey, thank you, Adam. I love the Sting shirt.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for that, David. It's a pleasure to chat to you.